Spotify pre-saves don't actually exist, and I have a feeling it's probably exactly the same with Apple pre-saves or even Deezer pre-saves, but this video is specifically about Spotify pre-saves. So a lot of people have come up with various rumors and theories about how pre-saves could help your music succeed in the long term, and one of those is this myth that Spotify editorial teams will see the number of pre-saves you have before your song comes out and decide to place you in a good Spotify playlist. There's a whole bunch of other rumors, but that's probably the number one that I hear. And it's completely false because there's actually no possible way for the Spotify team to see how many pre-saves you have because, as I mentioned, they don't actually exist. So to explain this, I'm going to show you how pre-saves work, and then it'll make sense to you why they don't actually exist. So to do this, first, I'm on Twitter. I just typed in pre-save Spotify, went to the latest. I don't know who this band is. If you happen to watch my channel, let me know in the comments because that'd be really funny. So I'm going to open this up in an incognito window so that I'm not already logged in. This is a DistroKid hyperfollow page, but this process is exactly the same for a ToneDen pre-save page or a Linkfire or whatever, or hyperfollow, whatever you're using. Or sorry, hyped it. So, we're going to click Spotify pre-save, and this is going to share my email with that artist, and it probably also, actually definitely, is going to make me automatically follow them. So if I click this button, we get this pop-up, and this makes me log into Spotify to do the pre-save. And for a lot of people that, they think this makes sense. Okay, it's going to pre-save it to my account. Of course I have to log in, but it's not actually what's happening. So if I were to go through this, and sorry, New Rock City, I'm not going to go through it, but what would happen is that DistroKid or whatever service you're using is going to store a couple of pieces of information, but basically they're storing these API keys so they can track down my account. They know they have permission to save things to my account, and they're going to store the song URI for Spotify. So all that means is that they're storing my profile stuff and they're storing the song stuff. And what they're actually going to do is on release day, at a specified time, they're going to save my song or save their song to my library. It doesn't get saved, and nothing happens with Spotify until release day. And there's another indication of this. If I go over to ToneDen, so what I did is I made a new smart link, and instead of selecting an existing release, I selected an upcoming release. And when you do that, this is essentially just a pre-save link, right? The first thing you do is you select a save date and a save time. You can specify what date and time you want your saves to happen. The reason why you specify what date and time that the saves happen is because they don't happen until after the song comes out. So I hope that clears it up. Spotify editorial is not looking at your saves because they can't look at your saves. They don't happen until after the song comes out. And there's another factor in this that's going to come up later, but I'll show it to you now. We're on the screen. You can actually log into your Spotify account and see all the different accounts that have access to your profile. I should probably go in and clean some of these up, but you can see here, we're going to have Last.fm and Hulu because I have Hulu through Spotify, but there's DistroKid, and that's because of hyperfollow. There's also Hyped It because of the various pre-saves and download gates that they have with Hyped It. And then there's also going to be ToneDen down here, and then Discord and all sorts of stuff. But if I were to pre-save that artist's song that we just had open, they were doing it through DistroKid. If I were to come here and remove access, they don't get to pre-save my song because I've removed access before the release date. So you can actually, and this happens to a lot of people, they'll see on their thing, oh, I had X amount of pre-saves, but when my song actually came out, I didn't get that amount. And if you have a really long pre-save window, like 2 months or something, you might have some people who are very active on their web thing. Obviously, I'm not because I have so many things that are on there. But they might see why does this DistroKid company or Hyped It or ToneDen company have access to my Spotify profile? And then they'll remove the access, and then your song never gets saved. Andrew from the future here. So I just wanted to interject and let you know that I do have a music marketing forum. It's completely free to join. It's a great place to talk to other people that are part of my channel about all this stuff. If you have any questions or you want to compare strategies, it's a lot of really smart people that are part of my channel that are on that forum chatting. So yeah, check it out. Entirely free. Up to you. Anyways, back to the video. So now that I've shattered a lot of your worldviews about what Spotify looks at for pre-saves, because they can't look at anything for pre-saves, let's talk about some good things about pre-saves, because pre-saves aren't worthless. What they really end up being is day one saves. Spotify creates or emphasizes the number of activity at the beginning of your song launch. To them, that's very important because, you know, if you're an artist and you have a big organic fan base and your song comes out, you know, naturally you would assume a lot of those people are going to check it out right when it's out. That's a good indication of people wanting to hear that song and you driving them to Spotify. And so they care very much about the day one, the first week results, you know, how fast are people coming to check out your song. And that's where pre-saves are valuable, right? Because if they're day one saves, it gives you a lot more time to grow your day one saves. And of course, a lot of those people who are pre-saving it, they're going to see it in their library potentially, and they're going to end up listening to it on day one. And that also helps you. Now, at the same time, I wouldn't recommend, unless you have a really big budget, running Facebook ads or any other type of paid marketing activity trying to grow your pre-saves, because it's going to be very expensive. If you remember, when we went to this pre-save thing here, when we went and clicked on it, we got this scary pop-up box that's asking us for access to our profile. And it even says on the thing it's going to share the email address with the artist. So if I heard of them in an ad, if they just showed me an awesome 15-30 second piece of their song, and I'm like, oh sweet, I can't wait for this to come out. If I've never heard of them before, I don't trust them. I'm a casual music listener. I've never heard of DistroKid. I don't know who they are. So it's going to be very hard to convince a stranger that doesn't know anything about any of this to log in with their Spotify through a website they've never heard of. Some people will, but a lot of them aren't. And the side effect of that is that you're going to find that when you try to run for example, a Facebook campaign promoting pre-saves, you're going to pay like $1, $2 or more per pre-save. So my perspective is that I would much rather just have a way bigger day one Facebook ad budget, because it's a lot cheaper to get someone to just click a landing page button and go to the song and save it on their own free will than try to like force people to opt into this thing that's kind of scary. So instead of like saying I'm going to put like all this money into a pre-save campaign, maybe consider just bumping up the first few days of your budget so that you can just accumulate those saves naturally, or try to figure other ways to build hype, you know, to get people to follow your account so that when the song comes out, they're going to go check it and save it anyways. So on that note about how it's very expensive to do pre-save campaigns and Facebook ads, for example, there are still reasons you might do it. If you have a big enough budget, you're already going to have this great campaign, it might be worth it for you to pay the extra money to get those day one pre-saves. The other part of the pre-saves is that when they do that, they're going to be following your profile. So you're not just paying for like a listener, you're paying for a follower. And in most circumstances, you're also paying to get their email address. So if you have the email marketing structure set up, just basically have any kind of mailing list, it might be worth it to you, especially if you can actually like try to sell merch to those people. You know, hey, thanks for joining our mailing list. Here's like a 20% coupon to our store. Or, you know, now the song comes out, maybe a couple weeks later, you're marketing some merch that's associated with the song that they just, you know, found your music over. Some of them might be doing that. And if you have the numbers, you might be able to prove that you can have those pre-saves kind of pay themselves off based on the percentage of people you can convert in your email marketing. And that's a pretty big deal, right? But, you know, for the vast majority of artists, you probably don't have that stuff set up. And, you know, the conspiracy theories around pre-saves aren't the reasons you do it. All of those things I just mentioned are more of the reasons why you would actually do a pre-save campaign. So if any of you are curious about how to do all this Facebook ad stuff, I do have a playlist right here where you can check out a whole bunch more videos, but I do also have a course in the description where you can learn about how to market music on Spotify using Facebook ads. Anyways, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.